Level 1. The Fish. You're 21 years old. You just arrived at Pelican Bay State Prison on a 5-year sentence for armed robbery. You're skinny, you're pale, and you're terrified. The heavy steel door of the reception center slams shut behind you with a sound that vibrates in your teeth. This isn't the county jail. This is the big leagues. As you're led to your cell, you feel 1,000 eyes on you. You see the groups. The blacks are at the pull-up bars. The Mexicans are grouped near the tables. And then there are the white guys. They aren't the biggest, but they're the quietest. They're covered in ink, webbed elbows, lightning bolts, and shamrocks. You realize quickly that in here, you aren't an individual anymore. You're a demographic. A man with a shaved head and a handlebar mustache approaches you in the yard. He doesn't threaten you. He offers you a cigarette. He asks where you're from. You tell him. He nods. "Stay close to us," he says. "We look after our own." You feel a wave of relief, but you don't realize that in prison, nothing is free. The cigarette, the protection, the brotherhood, it's all alone. And just like the triads, blood debt, the interest rate is your life. You're a fish, the lowest form of life. You do the chores. You clean the cells of the older guys. You're being watched, not for your strength, but for your loyalty. Level 2. The associate, the prospect, 6 months in. You haven't been touched. You've been schooled. You spend your days in the law library, but you aren't reading the penal code. You're reading about racial philosophy, Norse mythology, and the history of the brand. They call you an associate. You aren't a member yet. You're a prospect. Your job is simple. You're a mule and a lookout. Just like the lookout in the Mexican cartel or the bottle in MS-13, you have one job. Eyes open. When a kite, a small handwritten note, needs to go from building A to building C, you're the one who carries it in your keister. It's degrading, and if the guards find it, you're going to the hole. Solitary confinement. 1. Afternoon, a senior member hands you a piece, a sharpened toothbrush handle. He points to a man in the laundry room, a guy from a rival group who supposedly disrespected the Brotherhood. "Handle it," he says. "You don't have a choice. If you refuse, you're a no-good, and the Brotherhood will handle you." You walk into the laundry room. Your heart is hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. You do it. It's messy, it's loud, and you're caught within seconds. You get 2 years added to your sentence and 6 months in solitary. But when you finally come back to the general population, the guys in the yard nod at you. You've put in work. You're ready for the brand. Level 3. The member, the brother. The ceremony isn't in a temple like the triads, and there's no blood-mixing ritual with a rooster. It happens in the back of the weight pile, hidden from the gun towers. 3 made members stand around you. They don't hug you like MS-13. They look at you with cold, professional eyes. They recite the philosophy, blood in, blood out. You are now a brother. You get your first tattoo, a small shamrock on your pelvic bone or behind your ear. It's small so you can hide it, but it means everything. You aren't a fish anymore. You have a voice in the meetings. You get a cut of the business. The Brotherhood runs the prison economy, tobacco, heroin, and shanks. Just like the soldier in MS-13, you're the middleman. You don't sell the drugs yourself, you manage the runners who do. You're 25 now. You've forgotten what the sun feels like without a fence in the way. Your mother stopped visiting 3 years ago. Your letters go unanswered. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. You have brothers now. But you're starting to see the cracks. You see a brother get greenlit, marked for death. Because he was skimming a few grams of heroin off a shipment, you're the one. Ordered to do it. He was the guy who gave you that first cigarette when you were a fish. You don't hesitate. In this life, hesitation is a death sentence. Level 4, the shot caller, the tier leader. You're 30 years old. You've survived 2 stabbings and 3 prison riots. You've been moved to a maximum security facility. You're now a shot caller. You run an entire tier of 60 men. Nothing moves without your permission. Your job is management and diplomacy. You sit at the concrete tables in the yard and negotiate with the leaders of the Mexican Mafia, the EME, and the Black Guerrilla family. It's like the Vor Visa Cone mediating disputes in the Bratva, or the Plaza Boss dividing territory in Mexico. You decide who gets to use the phones. You decide which guards can be bribed and which ones need to be intimidated. You make rent. Every white inmate on the tier who isn't a member pays you a protection tax, $50 a month in commissary or stamps. If they don't pay, they get moved out or carried out. You're making the equivalent of $2,000 a week, but it's all in prison currency. You have the best food, the best sneakers, and the most respect. But you also have a target on your back. The special tech guards are building a file on you. They know your name, your aliases, and every tattoo on your body. You're no longer a criminal. You're a security threat group. Null STG. Leader. Level 5, the council member. You're 38. You've been in the system for 17 years. You're no longer on the yard. You're in a high security transition unit. You've been promoted to the council. There are only a handful of you in the state. You don't handle drugs anymore. You handle policy. You're like the white paper fan in the triad. an administrator. You coordinate operations between different prisons. You send kites through a network of legal mail and coded phone calls to other council members in Folsom, San Quentin, and Corcoran. The Brotherhood has expanded to the streets. You're managing parolees, who are expected to keep kicking up money to the organization once they're out. You're running a multi-million-dollar business from a 6-by-9-foot cell. You order hits on rats who are 3 states away. You feel like a god, but you're a god in a cage. You haven't touched a woman in a decade. You haven't seen a tree that wasn't behind a double row of concertina wire. Your world is gray concrete and the smell of industrial floor wax. Level 6, the commission, the top. You're 45. You are one of the 3 men who run the entire Aryan Brotherhood across the federal and state systems. You are the commission. Your word is absolute law for thousands of men. You are a ghost. Even the lower-ranking members don't know your real name. You communicate in codes that would baffle a linguist. You negotiate treaties with international cartels. You are a CEO of a shadow empire. Like the cartel leader or the dragonhead, you have power that most men can't dream of. But the reckoning is coming. The FBI and the Department of Justice have launched a RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, investigation. They don't want the guys on the yard. They want you. They flipped a council member, someone you've known for 20 years. He's been wearing a wire during legal visits. He's told them everything. Level 7, the Supermax, the end. The trial lasts a year. It's on the news every night. They call you the most dangerous man in the prison system. You're convicted on 30 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, racketeering, and drug trafficking. The judge doesn't give you a sentence in years. He gives you life without the possibility of parole. You're sent to ADX Florence in Colorado, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. It's the same place where the cartel leader and the highest-ranking terrorists are kept. You're in a cell 23 hours a day. The walls are thick, soundproof concrete. There are no bars, only a solid steel door with a small slot for food. You have 15 minutes of recreation a day in a small outdoor cage that only lets you see a patch of the sky. You have no contact with other inmates, no kites, no phone calls. The Brotherhood you spent 25 years building is gone. You're 50 years old, and you realize that the brand wasn't a badge of honor. It was a branding iron. You're a prisoner of the life you chose, and the only way out is in a pine box. Just like the Triad Dragonhead or the Bratva Operator, you reach the top of the ladder, only to find it was leaning against a tombstone. The cycle continues without you. Back in Pelican Bay, a 21-year-old fish just walked onto the yard. He's scared, he's alone, and a man with a handlebar mustache is walking toward him with a cigarette. This is the Brotherhood. Blood in, blood out, and in the end, all you're left with is the silence.